Hello and welcome back to our channel. I'm Colleen and this is Our Blessed Life, and today I'm going to show you our choices for curriculum for Sophie's second grade year. Okay, before we get started, I just want to say, first of all, this video is not sponsored by any curriculum company or any other type of company, and all of my opinions are my own. These are just the things that I feel like will work the best for Sophie this year. There are tons of wonderful curriculum choices out there. If you're a new homeschool mama, please don't feel like you have to use something just because your friend's using it or you saw it on YouTube or whatever. It takes a while sometimes to really find what works well for your child, and all children are different. So try it, find something you think you'll like and try it, but just know that sometimes you may have to tweak it and make different choices later. And also, all of our kids aren't the same. So you may have used something that you really, really love. Like for Katie, I loved Saxon in the younger years. We love Shorman now, but Saxon wasn't a good fit for Sophie. So just an example that you may find yourself taking a different turn as you have other kids coming through your homeschool, and that's okay. So if you watch our channel, you know that we homeschool year round. We are required to finish our school year, which is like the current grade that my kids are in, by May 31st of the current school year. Sophie finished first grade on May 11th, and Katie finished 10th grade on May 11th. And now I have girls going into second grade and 11th grade. So as you may know, if you watch our channel, Sophie does have special needs. She has a rare genetic condition called SETD5. And she's doing a lot of things that she's really not supposed to be able to do with her genetic condition. However, I have never told her that there's things that she can't do, and I always encourage her just to do her best, and we'll move forward the best that we can. So I'm using all like regular mainstream curriculum with her. However, sometimes I do have to make adjustments. Sometimes I have to use a lower level than her grade level. And sometimes I have to move back and forth between curriculum to get her to move forward. And sometimes we don't always finish the grade level book at the end of that grade level. So I'll go ahead and start with math. So last year we used Math Lessons for Living Education Level 1. We switched to this after using The Good and the Beautiful Level 1, it just moved too fast for Sophie. It just wasn't a good fit because of how fast it was. I really actually loved that curriculum, but it just didn't work for Sophie. So Master Books is a lot more gentle. We almost finished the book. Sophie got to lesson 30. And there are 36 total lessons, and the lessons are kind of like you do one lesson a week. So every day you do a lesson at the beginning of the week, and then every day you do a page, sometimes 2 pages related to what you learned in that lesson. So we're going to start the year by finishing this book, and I anticipate at least by August that we do homeschool year round, and we'll be starting back in June, but we will be doing just a few days here and there. We will not be doing full weeks, and we will not be doing like school the whole month of June. We'll probably only get in a week to 10 days in June. So we will start this in June. We will continue in July, and my hope is by the end of August we'll be ready to move to second grade math. But I always move at Sophie's schedule and her pace, so I really just don't worry about it. If it needs to take twice as long to finish this, then that's what we're going to do. For second grade, as soon as we finish the first grade book, we're going to move right into Math Lessons for Living Education Level 2. I'm really excited to move her to this book. I really, really love this curriculum. I think it's gentle. It is very, it focuses on the basics. It tells everything. It kind of instructs you in a way that just kind of logically makes sense and flows. I'm really excited to use this curriculum with Sophie, and I will be doing a flip through of this curriculum in a separate video, and I'll also be doing a Do a Lesson with Me. I'm going to go ahead and link up top a Do a Lesson with Me type video that I have for Math Lessons for Living Education Level 1. But as you can see, I'll just flip to a random lesson, but there's a story which has a lesson in it that you read to the child. And then there are worksheets that they do, like usually it's 1 per day. And what we do is we just pull out those worksheets for the whole week. We put them on a clipboard and we do it. There are sometimes manipulatives with these, but they're usually things that either you cut out of the back of the book or you have laying around your house. It's not like a big, huge manipulatives kit. For example, if you've ever done Right Start Math or Saxon Math or Matthew C, or even The Good and the Beautiful, this is far more simple. So for counting in the first grade level, they recommended like beans. Beans were too hard for Sophie, so I used popsicle sticks, and that worked great. Popsicle sticks also work really well when you're talking about tally marks. So we just kept it super simple with that. There is a list of what you will need in the front of this book as far as manipulatives. And it talks about how to use everyday items as manipulatives. And so this is based on a Charlotte Mason method. It's focused on teaching mathematics as a living subject. So I really have enjoyed this program, particularly for Sophie. So this is what we're going to be using. I will leave links in the description box for everything that I'm talking about. That way, if you want to go to that and check it out and kind of flip through it, you can do that. Most of the links will be on Amazon, so you can do the view inside of the book to look at those. So this is what we're doing for math. Let's go ahead and look at language arts next. So I explained in my first grade year-end wrap-up video, which I'll link up top, that we had to take an interesting approach for language arts in first grade. Sophie's probably most difficult subject is language arts. It used to be handwriting, and now I think it's really language arts and reading. And so we kind of work with her disability that she has. We kind of work in kind of a 2 steps forward, 1 step back type of situation. So there are days that she knows something, and there's days that she can't pull it back out of her brain. She does have a condition called apraxia, and that is part of it. We were using 2 different language arts for her last year. I started out the year using The Good and the Beautiful Level K, and that worked well until we kind of hit a brick wall. We couldn't go any further. And at that point, we moved to language lessons for living education level 1, which we did love. And then we kind of hit a brick wall again, and we came back to The Good and the Beautiful level K. So this year, we're going to do the same thing. First of all, just like math, we're going to finish up language lessons for living education level 1 and or The Good and the Beautiful level K. So I'm going to continue to move back and forth with her until we can finish one or both of those out. And then I intend to do the exact same thing. Knowing in advance that I will probably have to go back and forth, I went ahead and got language lessons for living education level 2. And it is just the next level in that series. It doesn't, language lessons for living education level 1 does have the 3 books, the reading books that go with it. This one is just the book, just the workbook. And so I've got this one, I intend to use this. And I also went ahead and got The Good and the Beautiful level 1. I probably should have printed this online because it is free. But I didn't think about it quickly enough, and then when I did, I kind of just was a little bit lazy and didn't want to do that. So I did go ahead and buy this language arts program. It is easier to buy it because it's already bound for you. It's in color, it's easy, it's not, you don't have to print all of that. But they do have this for free on the Good and the Beautiful website for levels 1 through 5, which is really good, especially if you're not sure what level your child is going to be in. They do have an assessment. I will tell you my experience with this is that it is at least half a grade level ahead, possibly a whole grade level ahead. And they say not to think about it as grade level, but more just as like a level. So in other words, level 1 does not necessarily mean that it's for first grade children. A lot of times second grade children will be using level 1. It just depends on what skill level they're in. This isn't necessarily a first grade book, if that makes sense. So that's why we're going to be using The Good and the Beautiful level 1 along with master books, the language lessons for living education level 2. Now, for those of you that have neurotypical children, you probably think this sounds like a really crazy approach, but I'm only doing this because I know from my experience this year that this really does work well for Sophie. And I ran into a problem this year where I needed to get curriculum, and it took me like a couple of weeks to get my hands on the curriculum that I needed, which was the master books. I ended up having to order the PDF version. So what I am doing this year is just preparing in advance that, you know, we're going to need both. If we don't, I'll end up selling one or whatever. But this way I'm prepared and I don't have to have a lag in my school year because of not having materials available. The Good and the Beautiful Level 1 also comes with this Level 1 reader. It is really, really sweet. I love their readers. It's really beautiful. It's got a lot of colors in it. The words are big. I really love these. I also use with Sophie the Good and the Beautiful boxed sets. I have used this year with her box set A and box set B. I used those even when I was working from the language lessons for living education. And this year I also bought the Good and the Beautiful's box set C and D, and I intend to use those as little readers with her because she really, really likes them and they've worked so well. So that's our plan for language arts. Like I said, I know this is a non-traditional approach, but it is an approach where I feel like I can make forward momentum with Sophie. I'll link a video up top about Sophie's rare genetic condition called Set D5. But in the paperwork and just like the flyers that you give to doctors just so that they understand that rare genetic condition, it says that these children are not supposed to be able to read, and Sophie is reading, and I think that Sophie has just a ton of potential. So I don't want to limit her, and I want to do whatever's necessary to help her go as far as she can. And I think the system that I've been doing, even though it's kind of odd, it's really been working for her. So I'm excited about this year, and I expect Sophie is going to make a lot of progress. Next, I'm going to move on to handwriting. And for handwriting, we are going to be continuing with the Good and the Beautiful. Sophie absolutely loves this. For some reason, this handwriting doesn't stress her out. Like, that is one of her most difficult subjects because she has hypotonia. She doesn't have a lot of muscle control, and handwriting is very difficult. In fact, we went through a period of time where we had therapists telling us that we should just give up on the handwriting, maybe use assistive devices, that this was going to be too hard for her. And I said, no, we're not doing that. She's way too young for that. We're going to just do our best, and we're going to continue making progress. And Sophie's going into level 2. We did use level 1 for 2 years because at the time we started level 1, they didn't have a kindergarten level at that time. It worked really well for Sophie, so we're excited about this. What Sophie likes about the Good and the Beautiful is that in addition to having the handwriting, you can see it's not a huge whole page full of handwriting like with some other programs. And at the bottom, it always has a picture that you can either draw or color. And she really likes that. And usually it alternates where like this page is going to be color, and then you flip it to the next page for tomorrow, and it's just going to tell you something to draw. So it goes back and forth. So she really, really loves this curriculum, and it's just not too much. So I really love this for her. It's just not overwhelming. Level 2, in case you're interested, it does start back at letter formation. It starts out with a review of letter formation. Basically, the first half of the book about is letter formation, and then it moves into words and sentences. So this is the perfect level for Sophie. Again, with their handwriting, I don't think it's based on grade level. I think it's based on skill level. So I don't think level 2 necessarily equals 2nd grade. Okay, next I'm going to talk about history. Okay, so for history, we are going to use Abeka's Our America. This is Abeka's 2nd grade history and geography reader. I really love these books. They're very sweet. It doesn't take a lot of time. Sophie doesn't have a huge attention span, and this works really well. We can read a couple of pages, and we do this maybe once or twice a week at the most, and easily get through this book in the year. We also use the Good and the Beautiful, and we'll be using the Good and the Beautiful Year 3 history. I do not count that on my record keeping as Sophie's history. We actually do that as morning time because it's something that we do together with her sister Katie. I also don't count that as Katie's history because I don't really feel like the way we use it, we're really not using it as high school level. We use it more like morning time. We all enjoy it. It's just something we can all do together, which when you have a 2nd grader and 11th grader, there's very little that you can do together as a family. So we use that as just kind of like a fun thing to start our morning that everybody enjoys. All right, so this is what we're doing for history. Okay, next I'm going to be talking about science. We are a science family and we get probably more excited about science than any other subject. So I have a lot more resources for science. So my main resource that I'm going to be using for Sophie is, this is by Master Books and it's called God's Design Life for Beginners. It has 3 overall units. One is plants, the other one is the human body, and then the last one is animals for beginners. I really loved Adventures in Creation, which is what we used with Sophie last year for science. Sophie really loved it. It was just the perfect level for her. It was so good. She enjoyed it so much, and I'm really excited about using this one. Sophie actually picked this one out that she wanted to do, and she's really excited about it as well. I will also do a flip through of this on my channel in a future video. I wanted to show you some additional science resources that I'm planning to do. Because the world is so weird right now and the library is not really reliable, we can't just go into the library. I decided that this year I was just going to go ahead and purchase some resources on Amazon. They were not very expensive and I can always sell these books later, either on Amazon or elsewhere. And so I picked some little books that I wanted to do with Sophie, just like in morning time for read alouds and things like that about science. And they go with this book. So I'm kind of breaking it into 3 different units. All right, well, first of all, I'll show you the 2 books that we already had. I really like these, and these are resources that I just kind of keep on my bookshelf. And this first one is called Nature Anatomy by Julia Rothman. This book is just really, really beautiful. It's got drawings in here. I'm just going to show you, for example, the leaf identification. This is just a really good, especially if you want to have your child draw. This is one about Metamorphosis. This is truly a beautiful book, and I just really, really love it. If you kind of like the Charlotte Mason method, this is just a book that's just really good to have in your library, and it can work for many different levels, but it's got a little bit of information about whatever the topic is, and then they've got a drawing of it, and I have loved this book for years. So this is one that's going to be kind of like a science reference. If we get into a certain topic in our God's Design for Beginners science book, then we may look it up in here and read it and see what they have to say. We may attempt to draw whatever it is. There's chapters about, you know, taking a hike, things that you can find, anatomy of a deciduous tree. There's a lot of stuff in here. Basically covers like water, geology. It also covers animals and plants. So this is just a good little book to have, especially for elementary. And then the other book that's a reference that we like to keep is this book. It's DK Wonders of Nature. I love this one too. And this is just like a really good reference. So it's also got beautiful pictures. So for example, if you're talking about an iris, you can look it up, see the pretty picture. So I intend to almost use this like an encyclopedia. Here's the page on amber, if you were doing minerals and rocks, sandstone. So this book is very similar to the other. We happen to already have both of these. So I intend to kind of have them at the ready this year and be able to use them with Sophie because I love them both so much. I'm also going to show you the books that I just recently purchased off of Amazon that are going to be kind of like readers that we'll use as we go through the different science units. Okay, so the first unit is on plants. So I got this one called How a Seed Grows. This is the level 1 science. Let's read and find out how a seed grows. And I'll link all of these below if you want to do the look inside thing on Amazon. But I'm really excited about a lot of these because I know that Sophie's going to love them. From Seed to Plant by Gail Gibbons. Okay, and the last one for plants, this is DK, The Magic and Mystery of Trees. This one's a really neat little book. It's got a lot of drawings and explanation in here. This is talking about roots, flowers, fruits, and seeds. It's got a lot of pictures. I really love this book too. And this is one that I have used before, but I wanted just to kind of have it in our library. All right, the next unit is on animals, and I got this one from Tadpole to Frog, and this is another one of those Let's Read and Find Out level 1. What's it like to be a fish? And this is the same Let's Read and Find Out Level 1. A Nest Full of Eggs, and that's also that same series. Okay, and then the last unit is on the human body, and these are all Read and Find Out. This first one is level 1. All of the other 3 are level 2. This one is My 5 Senses. This one is The Skeleton Inside You. This one is Hear Your Heart. And then the last one is Germs Make Me Sick. And so I'm excited to do this one with her because she's been kind of struggling to understand the whole COVID situation and, you know, germs and getting sick and all of that kind of stuff. So I think this is going to be a good one for her. But those are all books that could be kind of used in morning time while you're using that science book. That was just kind of an idea that I had, and I know that Sophie's really going to love that. Last but not least, we already had Explode the Code Level 2, and I'm probably going to start out the year using this. I don't know if I'll continue. I really do like Explode the Code, and I think it goes very well with both Language Lessons for Living Education and The Good and the Beautiful. However, if it takes up too much time, if I feel like I need more time kind of side by side and working our way through the regular lessons, then I probably will set this aside. One of the biggest things with Explode the Code is if you do have a child that's struggling with phonics, this really does help. All right, and lastly for art, we are going to be using, this is from The Good and the Beautiful, the Creative Arts and Crafts projects. We're not going to do everything in this book, but we are going to do some selected arts and crafts things. So this is a sunflower watercolor. It gives you instructions. If you're familiar with The Good and the Beautiful, they do have like art assignments in some of the older levels. Particularly, I'm thinking about the high school levels. At the end of every unit, there's an art project where they give you very detailed instructions on how to do the project, and then you just can go ahead and complete that. So we've really enjoyed those, and I wanted to have something that was more on Sophie's level. So I actually got this last year, and we just did not have time to do it. But this year I'm hoping that we will. I just want to show you one of them. This is a bird feeder ornament. This will work very well with the science that we're doing this year. Tells you what you need. It shows you pictures. It tells you the steps, and it even gives you pictures for the steps. So I feel like this is very user-friendly and would be easy for me to implement with Sophie. Okay, so those are the resources that I'm going to be using for Sophie this year. You may have noticed that I did not have a separate Bible curriculum. I did More Than Words with her at the beginning of last year, and I just found it to be too much. There is so much Bible woven in the Abeka books that I use for history and then also the master books, really all the master books curriculum, but particularly the science, that I am choosing not to do a separate Bible curriculum just because I would like with Sophie to have fewer subjects and spend more time on reading and math. So the other thing that we will be doing to cover Bible is we will be doing some devotions as well as some Bible reading in our morning time, and we will be starting our day with that before we move into her grade level work. If you have any questions about any of this curriculum, let me know in the comments below. And I would also love to know what you are considering for your second grader, and also if you've already purchased anything, what you are excited to be using next year. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe, and we'll see you next time.
Even if the sky is falling down,